Welcome now to the weather portion of Ag Week. Our outlook this week focuses on a few areas. One, the Arctic blast. Very cold weather into the northern plains, especially this weekend. Second thing is more rain coming for California over the next couple of weeks. And finally, there's probably a couple of chances of some pretty decent snowfalls through the Midwest. But first of all, let's talk about this Arctic blast. Interesting weather pattern shaping up for the region. It has been very cold the last few days, especially in North Dakota, Minnesota, down into parts of South Dakota and some other parts of the Midwest. Some very, very cold weather. So where does this all come from in the middle of El Nino? Well, let's take a closer look at the Earth here, and you'll notice that the cold weather is not really covering all of the Earth. It's not like it's cold everywhere. It's just a jet stream pattern that has dropped down really mostly into the northern plains. Overall, the world is not terribly cold. This little cold snap will cycle through, as cold snaps do, and it will eventually start retreating back up to the north in the next few days. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to see balmy weather in January like we did in December, but I'm still convinced that throughout the northern plains and the upper Midwest, when this winter is over, it will go down as an above average winter. The subtropical jet still very strong, still very much an El Nino pattern. We just got a little cold air bubble that dropped out of the north, this little bulge in the jet stream that has made our weather cold. But it should soon be heading right on back to Canada. Meanwhile, the overall view of things, take a look at this. Here is our cold weather into the northern plains. Over the next week or so, the polar branch of the jet stream, which has brought this south, will kind of go into retreat by Wednesday. The cold air, the really cold stuff, will be back into Ontario and the Hudson Bay region. Another little dip means we're not going to have a great warm-up, but I am anticipating that temperatures will moderate throughout the northern plains and upper Midwest this week. A little swirl in the jet suggests that toward the latter part of the week, some parts of the upper Midwest, perhaps Iowa, maybe over around Chicago, may be in for a substantial snowstorm. And the subtropical jet does remain very, very strong, but its focal point for the time being is out over the Atlantic. So what are we talking about for precipitation this week? Rain in the Pacific Northwest, the LA area mostly dry in Southern California and Arizona and the Southwest. The Southeast looks quite rainy, which is again very typical of an El Nino pattern. And later this week, a pretty good chance for a snowstorm somewhere in the upper Midwest, perhaps Iowa. Not much coming to the northern plains. As we head toward week 2, the rains will shift southward down into Southern California. Texas will start to dry out. The Southeast still somewhat wet, and it looks like another chance for some rain and snow the second week through parts of the upper Midwest, so places from Iowa to Madison to Chicago may be getting some decent precip.